شما اسمشون رو چی میگفتین؟
ما میگیم مردم میگفتیم، مردم. ما مردم میگفتیم. دیگه اوزا میری و قبلا بعد دیگه فهمیدیم که دیگه میشه. گفتیم این اسمش از مریم. مسیح یعنی.
چی کار میکرد معمولا تو روز؟
مریم فقط عکس برداری میکرد، فیلم شده برداریم عکس میکرد، میامدن جلو ماهی میگرفتیم، عکس ماهی چی میکرد؟ چشش جلو میرفت، عقب میرفت، رو کبن میرفت، از این چیزها همش کامل دستش بود. همش.
به خاطر که خودش یک زنی بود نه؟ میگفتم باید یک چیزی دنبالش باشه، حالا چه حیوان باشه، چه مار باشه، چه یک چیزی باید باشه. بخواد.
خب اونو اووردش تو کشتی. چه بلایی سرشون؟
نه به خاطری که اگر نیاورد میگه هوا تیفون میشه، هوا خراب میشه، به این خاطر میگم. از این بزرگان میگن، ما خب خیلی دیگه تجربه.
ببین رد شد از تو لنج ما هم رد شد رفت تو دبی. بعدش زرد غروبی بود، این اومد یه ایرانی همراهش بود، مترجم آوردی پیرمرده‌ای بود. بعد که اومد گفت من یه لیست دستش بود از گمرک بمباسا گرفته بود، اون علی سرور بهش داده بود که لنج فلان ناخدا فلان، اینا این لنجایی که میان آفریقا. بعدش خب گفت که ناخدا نیست. بعد از نماز عشا یعنی من ناخدا میاد. بعد که شب اومد تو قمارا نشسته بودیم، این اومد با همون انگلیسی اومد، با همون ایرانی اومد. بعد صحبت که میکردن که واجی گفت نه من نمیبرم، یه زن نمیبرم تو لنج، همه مردن یه زنه.
گفتن یک زن تنها داخل لنج درست نیست، به خاطر این یه چیزی باید همراهش خن بکنه، یا حیوانی یا چیزی باید بیار. از اون بزرگا میگفتن، اونایی که بزرگ بودن.
کجا غرق شد؟ کجا غرق
لنج خم بود. همونجا از شهر اکالکوت خودش همونجا غرق بودیم. اخور در آمده باز زیاد بودی، نه لنجان در نرفتن، یه در رفتی داخل دیرا که هون دیگه غرق بودی، باز زیاد بودی، یه طوری بودی.
چهل سال پیش یک عکاس انگلیسی به نام ماریون کاپلان برای ثبت قدیمی ترین راه تجارت دریایی جهان عازم خلیج فارس می شود. او شرح و عکس‌های این سفر را در شماره سپتامبر سال 1974 مجله نشنال جئوگرافیک چاپ می کند. کشتی ایرانی میهندوست که ماریون با آن سفر کرد از آخرین کشتی‌های بادبانی اقیانوس پیما بود که بوم نامیده می شدند. بوم‌ها هر سال سفر خود را از بنادر جنوبی ایران شروع می‌کردند و بعد از عبور از تنگه هرمز و دریای عمان عازم بنادر منباسا در افریقا یا سواحل پرموج و طوفانی هند می‌شدند. سفری 9 ماهه که با آن سفر گپ به معنای بزرگ می‌گفتند و با بادهای موسمی شروع می‌شد. 1 سال بعد از سفر خانم کاپلان، کشتی میهندوست دچار طوفان می‌شود و در سواحل غربی هند غرق می‌شود. به جز چند نفر از خدمه کشتی که در این سفر همراه نمی شوند و جان به در می برند، بقیه دریانوردان به همراه محمد، ناخدای کشتی، در دم کشته می شوند. این عکس ها که می بینید همگی توسط ماریون ثبت شده است. اینها آخرین تصاویری است که از سرنشینان کشتی میهندوست به جا مانده است.
I love the silence. I like the birds. My only animal that I have is a cat, but you're unlucky to see him because he doesn't like strangers.
I want to start. Shall we start? Yeah?
Yes, okay. Yes.
I want to know how you interested this story to Dao. How do you hear about that?
Because I'm living in Kenya at the time. And in Kenya, I lived in Nairobi, which is up country. But Mombasa and the coast is somewhere you go to always to relax and to have a good time. And the dhows were just part of the scenery and the ocean. And of course, the big ones were still sailing, and they came by once a year without fail at that time. And they were so beautiful. And I loved boats, and I would always go to hang around the old port. So I knew that they were there and was interested in doing a story on them. And there's such gracious, exquisite ships. And you just could see there's a great trading going on. And you would see the carpets and the chests and the guys with carrying things on their heads and all the rest. And Mombasa was so lively when they were in port. So that was a familiar part of the scenery. So because I was a journalist, I suggested a story to National Geographic on the dhows and their presence and their history and all the rest. But it was they who said, well, that's fine, they said, but you've got to do a journey. You can't just do something on the local scene. That's how it started. But I had been quite clever in Mombasa. I had got introductions from the port manager in Mombasa, who knew them, of course. I said to the port messenger in Mombasa, this is before we took, I said, can you give me the names of a few passengers, a few captains rather, who would take a passenger, a woman, but somebody you would trust if it was your own daughter. So they were very amused at all of this. So this is the port manager in Mombasa before I set off, who gave me a short list. And then the guy, the very distinguished gentleman in Mombasa who sold carpets and chests, he also gave me names. And Issa's name was on both lists. Issa. And out of the 200 or more booms and dhows that were in Dubai, he was one of the very, very few actually going to sea, even then. And he said, well, it's God willed, inshallah, you know, sort of, so I will take you. Issa accepted me as a passenger. I hadn't even seen his ship then. You know, I just knew that he was going to Mombasa and agreed to take me. And obviously he would have a biggish ship. And then I saw Mehandoost. I always said Mehandoost, which is how I understood it to be. And I found her so beautiful. She was very big to me, far bigger than the little Aziz. But you couldn't really see her because in the Dubai, she was about 6 ships. Here's the wharf, and then all the other ships tied up, and then she was there. So I didn't really see her at all. Moreover, by the time I was on board, you know, I was already among the cargo. You know, she carried an incredible amount of cargo because that was what mattered to the Nahadas. They were trading. Don't forget he had 2 sons on board. Muhammad was the older son, who was not only the first mate, to use our expressions, but in the ship's papers I learned that he was the captain, that he was a Nahada. And so Muhammad, a very, very nice young man, very good looking, worked the whole time. As they did at sea, they either made nets, or they did this, or they did that, or they cut the fruit, or what. They worked the whole time. Later on in the voyage, they were fishing. Lines were at the back, and they were catching great big tunny and all the rest. And so Muhammad was the older son, was the guy who was mainly responsible, and he tore back there. But whoever was acting as helmsman at one stage, there were 5 or 6 lines there, and they needed help. Off he went, and he put me at the wheel. So yeah, I'm doing this, you know, very badly to start with, and then gradually I get more confident. You don't have to move the wheel very much. And then they noticed that the woman who was at the wheel, and so that. But it was all so affectionate and agreeable, and there wasn't a moment to be bored, even going day after day after day out at sea. I think I was listed on the crew's manifesto, you know, so I was an Iranian sailor. I think the ISA wouldn't let me pay because I said, of course I can pay. I'm working for a rich magazine. You don't have to pay. You're part of us now. But then we all knew each other and we were quite fond of each other. And then, you know, he was quite elderly then. So, and I was a great deal younger. So I became like a daughter to him. I mean, he really did regard me as like a daughter. And I was so complimented by that. And I became so fond of them. The day starts with breakfast. And breakfast is kubis and tea. Tiny little cups of tea, glasses of tea. And the cook is down in his firebox. I've even forgotten what it's called. He's so down below all the cargo, and there's a live fire. You know, I always worried about a live fire on a wooden ship, but of course it's all carefully controlled. And but he's way down below and has to work down there. And sometimes there was always one main cook, and then another person would help him. And on Mehandus there was a very young boy, 15, Mohammed, as always, Mohammedou, because he was a kid. But it was always delicious. I don't know why it was delicious, because it wasn't my kind of food. And I was busy because I was photographing all the time. I was looking at everything. I was talking and listening and reading. I did a lot of reading. I had a copy of the Quran with me, which I only did that psychologically. I mean, I read the Quran more than once, said their prayers 5 times a day, as they're supposed to. Never expected me to. Occasionally I would get suggestions how nice it would be if I was a Muslim too. And I said, no, well, I'm not anything. You know, I have no religious belief. I said, I believe in people, I said. And I was quite right to believe in people too. But religion was not part of my life. But theirs was. Religion was very much a part of all of their lives. And, right, let's go and I'll make a salad or something. I think we should eat inside, don't you?
Okay.
The moment I stop talking and I stop being excited, even I'm feeling that. My computer's very slow. I think I've got too many other things on there. Oh no, it's coming. So...
Is the first song?
Yes. That one has him. And he's in several of these, because he was the most active man. He was just, I'm just deeply grieved that he was still a young man, and if he went down with a ship, that just breaks my heart.
Mm. Yeah, unfortunately, they made a decision to go to the sailing, but
it was a bad decision, wasn't it? I forget the time of day, but Hassan was an assistant engineer. And then we could hear that the engine was making a strange noise. So somebody went to look and see, and what they saw was something truly horrible. Hassan had been trapped by his gown by the drive belt of the engine, and he was already horribly cut, you know, sort of the throat, his arms, body. And there was screams of horror across the whole ship because it did look as if he was dead. I was ordered to stay away from everything by ISO, who didn't want me to, no photographs there. Not that he said so, but just to stay apart from this scene of horror and grief. Was when somebody came in and they asked for my tape. And photographers use, as you know, a kind of what we call a gaffer tape, but it's just a sticky tape, and you use it for everything. And they came to me, they wanted the gaffer tape, and what they used the gaffer tape for was to hold his throat together. So, because his throat had literally been cut, and just to hold it together and perhaps to hold up his other... And now I didn't ever see his body with the gaffer tape on. I just... Where they put him, I don't know. I really did feel so grief-stricken myself that I just stayed away from this. They got in the flying doctor's service, and he was flown to Mombasa, as I went to. But the mood on the ship when we went to Mombasa was just full of grief, because they thought they'd lost him. And I felt desperate too, because I remembered all the time this feeling that it's bad luck to have a woman on a ship, and I thought, my God, I've brought them bad luck. I've brought them bad luck. I was just as grief-stricken as they were. And anyway, by the time we got to the ship, the Mehandis got to Mombasa, Issa was there to meet us. Hassan was doing all right. He was not only still alive, but he was doing all right. Not all that all right. He was still in hospital, and the other thing was quite clear: he couldn't sail back on the ship with his colleagues, with his mates. Now that I have seen a photo of him as a healthy, not so young man, I know that it's a miracle that he did survive it. I don't actually think my own role was at all notable, but he had all my wishes to go with him.
Yeah, I hope one day came and you again saw Hassan, you know, and also Yusuf. Actually, they totally very bright memory they have from you, and exactly when they.
Are you going to show them this? My good friends, I love you all, and I respect you all, and I wish you a long, long life. That's for them. So I became like a daughter to him. And later, he wouldn't charge me. I mean, he really did regard me as like a daughter.
بعد میدونید بابای شما، پدر شما از ماریون کاپلان پولم نگرفت. گفت بود من پول نمیگیرم ازت.
بعد نگرفت. قرار شد اینجا نمیدونم چه قبل بده. بعد که همچه جریانی اومد اینا پول نگرفت. بعد این من هنوز یه دونه چاقوشو دارم. به من مثلا یه دونه چاقو داد. کاپلان. دیگر برای خود لنگ میشه وسایل خرید اصلا اومد.
حال شما خوبه؟ خوبی شما؟ شما دیدی؟
البته بخشید بعد از زنگی بودیم اونجا خموم بودم.
سلام شما خوبه؟
بیا بشین همینجا اصلا نمیده.
پیر بودیم سخیم.
خواه پیر نبوده؟
I mean, even as sailors, and of course they wore shorts and everything underneath, you know, but...
میگه شما لباس بلند پوشیده بودین؟ لباس گرفت بزیر؟
بله یادمه شب چی بود؟ محرم بود 10 محرم هست شد 10 محرم مدابس بغلنا سرد هستم شران روش بود بله
چی شد شما رفتین موتور رو؟
خب این بعد شوفرمون که هندی بود این گریسمن به قول انگلیسی یا به قول کمک دست شوفر بود اینا یک شفت 6 ساعت اونو میزد 6 ساعت نوبتی این بود هر 2 ساعت یا نیم ساعت یه دفعه سر با موتور واد
شما رفتین حسن آقا پایین
ما پایین رفتیم که خب لنگ آب داره خیلی
خب
لنگ هم گفتیم بخیر شراب 2 تا شراب بشه من از حیبت زدم بالا
خب
سیر هست بلد سیر
تازه پرونه
سیر بلد بلد مال اول مال پاکستان بود همه دکمه‌ای بود
انگلیسی ها بود
میشوری عربی بود این ساده نبود این گرفتم مچی که بندازم تو خنزیره و چه فلوبین که خبر ندارم بس این افتاده رو همیشه چی دارم کشید تو ها دیگه خبر ندارم 3 تا سیر 4 تا بلد بود گاردنر مثل این گاردنر بود گاردنر هست دیگه حمله یکی بریدی بود که سر من بین 2 تا سیر
سرش وسط 2 تا
پام به بالا
پولی کشیده بود
اگر نبریده بود اینم بارش بود اینجا کشیده بود داخل اینجا کشیده بود آب میدادم به من میخوردم از این وقت بیرون میامد آب اصلا قد نمیکرد اصلا بدل نمیکرد هیچ دیگه من افتادم دیگه خبر ندارم دیگه
اولی که دیگه اول بسی خودش کرد فلان کس چقدر طلب داره فلان چیزی اینجا آدمه
این همه بلد زدی بود همه بلد
چون گاردن ها 4 تا تسمه داشت یکی مال تسمه 4 بود
همه داخل رفتی بود بلد سه پشه هست، اما پشه بود دیگه، پشه دیگه تور رو انداختن، تور خاطر پشه نیاد.
دیگه پر خون بود.
دیگه دکتر دیگه گفت که نه ما باید بنباسه برید. از اون بنباسه برید. از همون وقت هم هواپیما هم نبود، چیزی هم نبود دیگه، خودش زد هم چیز به هلیکوپتر از نیروبی آمد هلیکوپتر. با حاج عیسی محمد برای اونا لنگ بود با بنباسه. ما دیگه با ماریون با حاج عیسی پدر اینا دیگه با هلیکوپتر ما بردن به کجا بنباسه بردن. اسپیتال حکومت بود.
He couldn't sail back on the ship with his colleagues.
میگه یه چیز بود دیگه شما نمیتونستین وارد کشتی بشین. بعد از اون دیگه
نه بله.
دیگه هیچ وقت نکرد.
نه دیگه بعد از 5 ماه دیگه.
تو یک ماه تو بنباسه بود.
یک
ماه تانزانیا بودیم، دوباره اومد 10-15 روز دوباره برگشتیم دیگه، جنجله شد باید حرکت می‌کردیم میومد. اگه نمیومد بعد سال موندیم. این دیگه اصلا
من موندم 3 ماه بعد اومدم.
Hassan was doing all right. He was not only still alive, but he was doing all right. So I never saw him again.
میگه من هیچ وقت هنوز اصلا ندیدم.
خاطر من خیلی می‌خواست. صبح یک تلفن برای خودش بود. یک توله باز زیر نیم کافی می‌خورد، کافی به من کافی می‌داد. دیگه به هیچ بچه کافی نمی‌داد. چند تا بچه جوشی همه ساعت ناراحت بخیر. برای من خیلی دوست، من خیلی داشت. منم خیلی خاطر داشتم. همیشه میرفتم پیش میرفتم.
خب من اینو پیغام براش میفرستم، همینو که کلمه شما گفتیم. این شاید بهش
روحیه بده
که پاشی بیاد به خاطر شما. اصلا تهران هم نیاد، بیاد از شیراز بیاد اینجا.
اگر خواسته شماره من یادداشت کنه که من فرودگاه دنبالش اینا
یادداشت میکنم که شما برید دنبالش، اصلا جوابش بدین و بمونه همینجا مدتی. یوسف بعد چند سال داری میبینیش؟
43 سال 51 43 سال.
آخرین بار کی دیدیش؟
سال 5 همون سفر آفریقا 51 52 بود. همین موقع هم بود.
با شنیدن حرف‌های حسن و یوسف، ماریون تصمیم گرفت که به ایران بیاید. پیش از آن که رضایت به سفر بدهد، بارها برایم گفته بود که نمیتواند با مرگ قهرمانان داستانی که 40 سال پیش روایت کرده بود کنار بیاید. آنها سالها قبل از آن که او همسفرشان شود، به دریا رفته و بازگشته بودند. این تردید ماریون را رها نمی‌کرد که آیا همسفر شدن او با آنها و ثبت آخرین سفرشان در تاریخ کار درستی بوده یا شاید حضور او بدیومن بوده که به سال نکشیده همگی مردند، همانطور که دریانوردان پیر می‌گفتند.
من بوبای ماشین ما شماست که با هم رفتیم کلندری.
Somebody has to translate that for me.
می‌پرسن شما بیزنسمن شدی و تاجر شدی، چی شدی؟
من دیگه خب بعد که میهندوس غرق شد، حاجی محمد فوت کرد، حاجی اجازه نمیداد ما دریا بریم بیشتر. مثلا تو لنگ و اینا چه نمی‌کرد دیگه، نشستیم تو شهر تا میگه کار همین مغازه. بابا من.
Didn't you do that?
This is Haji, his father.
Haji Isa.
Isa. After the Mihandus sang.
Yes. That was a terrible loss. I was really sad to hear that. The passing of his father, his brother, and a beautiful ship. Very sad. He must have had great difficulties though after that, I should think. I should have worked up my Swahili for this encounter, which would have been quite easy to do.
بهش میگه از ظفار که حرکت کردیم اگر طوفانی نبود دریا شما کلاس زبان میذاشتی بود انگلیسی ما خوب بود.
Is that if from the Zofar, you put us in the class of English, we're supposed to learn English. And we can talk with you now. چجوری شما کی خبر رو، یعنی چطوری خبر رو شنیدین وقتی که شنیدین میهندوس غرق شده؟
وقتی طوفان هند بود بعد از طریق دبی تلگراف دبی جیروی این خبر داده بود.
Because of that, I almost didn't come because it's such a difficult thing to see people that you remember in one context and they have all been hit by personal tragedy. But so much time has now passed, and time is a healer. Oh, cool. Yes, very nice. Very nice. Oh, amazing to be here. It's amazing to be here. Yes. Yes. Oh. Well, I've brought you some books.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that one. Yes. That even looks like one of my photos. Because that is about the age that I knew him. I took that photo? Oh, maybe. Shall I get into the picture a bit?
Because you're a baby. National Geographic.
Oh, there it is. Oh, very tatty, as you said. That's exactly it. Yes, this is there we are. That's Kuwait. There's Mombasa. Oh yes, that's the old Dow port.
Baba Yango.
Yes.
Ojaman.
Yes.
Abdurrahman.
Yes.
You too.
That's my picture. These are all my pictures. My picture. There we go. This was the story that National Geographic ran in September 1974.
Kuwait,
That's right, there we are. And I began in Kuwait and I met them in Dubai. And I went on the small Aziz, that journey, and all of that with Mehendoost. And, there we go, yes. There we go. The pages are indeed pretty fragile, aren't they? Oh, Muhammad. Hussein.
اسمش کلا یادشه.
I've forgotten his name. Mehendoost was the only one sailing to Mombasa. And even then I remember Issa wasn't sure because he had a cargo for Oman and he didn't know what was going to happen. But he agreed to take me. How agile he was. Oh yes, there he is. There's Yusuf as an 18-year-old. They treasured this ancient copy, 1974. There we are, Oman.
زفاف.
Oman, the stitch surf boats. We spent a lot of time in Oman. And this was the stitch surf boats was how they took the cargo off the dhows. No nails in those boats. What an era. But to be on a wooden sailing ship and there's a motor car, I always found that absurd. But there it was. All the sailors, all of them, when there was nothing else to do, they had work to do. And that's Yusuf, I think. Where are we? Mehandust at sea, high in the water. We're on the way south, I think, because look, she's not carrying any cargo. Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Hajj Ahmad Isa.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. How did Isa pass away? It wasn't in the sinking of the dhow.
ایسا چجوری بود کرد؟
چه شد؟ مستند بود.
Just old age.
Yeah.
Old age. That's a good way to go. I'm nearly there myself. It's terrible. I mean, he's a hell of a lot younger than I am.
بعدی
دیگه همه من تو سن ایسا.
I mean, he was just a boy when I was a mature woman.
بابا هم همین سندای من بود 60 خورده سال.
I think I used to be taller than him, but look what's happened. I've got older and shorter, and he's done very well. He's done. But of course, with Hassan's accident, I felt personally responsible, and that's why I felt I was obliged to do everything possible to get him looked after and to get him home, because even though I knew I wasn't responsible, the general feeling would be that I was responsible, because why else? How else could it have happened except that there was a woman there? Mind that I never, when he had the accident, I didn't see him. They didn't show him to me. Now we don't. Now we know he's not only not dead, his life is being affected, apparently, by some other woman who has a great deal of power over him and is stopping him from joining us, which is a pity. Oh, my little one, aren't you beautiful? Aren't you beautiful? Your auntie, your old auntie. Oh, he's a happy man. He's got everything he wants. This is the book. 3 copies, one for you and the others you can give away. This is the same, you recognize the picture.
این از 3 تا کپیه، یکیش برای شماست، 2 تاش هم برای هر کی دوست داری از بچه‌های باقی مونده میهندوست.
Wonderful, wonderful. Wooden boats, dhows, oh, wonderful. Oh, I'm glad I came. 2 reasons, 3 reasons. 1 to find him, 1 to find the boats, 1 to find his friends. Oh, wonderful.
یکی اینجاست که اون میکنم از اون بلوانمون یکی اینجا کار میکنم.
ما بریم بهتره. Let's go in together. Let's go.
Yes, it's wonderful. There is somebody I recognize. A grey beard on the same face. And he looks happy and well, even if he has a grey beard. That's very good. And lovely ladies, and Not, but it's pretty children. It's pretty children.
خیلی بی‌حد. بازاری که زیر موتور بود. اگر یه نبود می‌مرد. می‌دونی چقدر خرج کرده؟
حالا اصلا باز یادم.
تو فکر می‌کنی یوسف
Somewhere else.
But they can, it's here is better. Yeah, he's working as a for made buildings and helps. Yeah, that's his job.
Oh, that's, yes, good.
Yeah.
I'm glad. And he looks very strong and fit on it too.
Marion, he said, I can't believe you became. میخوای بگم بهش؟ He said you became old.
Yes, 40 years. Of course, I became old, but I was not young when I came to work on Mayandas.
میگه اون موقع هم جوون نبودم اونجا با شما کار. نه.
That's so young then.
نه.
And
40 سالش بود. How old are you? Were you?
well,
No, there.
about 35 maybe.
35. They thought you were 25.
Good.
یادت میاد که ماریون چی کارت میکرد؟ بگو چی کار میکرد؟
یعنی یک فیلم برداری میکرد با برادر این خیلی مثلا میرفتن گشت این طرف
نه با تو چی کار میکرد؟
برای من برو کلی خب میزار میگشتم اینجور برای من میخواد زیاد برو کلی خب میزاد یه طرف خیلی برای من
Something like that, is it true?
Maybe, because he was such a lovely young boy.
Okay.
I think it was his first trip at sea. Wasn't it his first voyage at sea?
دیگه اولین سفرت بود.
که من اول سفر
Yes. So how could he know?
نه اول سفر دیگه چیه دیسیم زد به قراب نفکش قراب خیلی بزرگ بود اومد نزدیک این رفت.
Did you have any wireless system? No.
یادم نگیره که امروزه.
It was the power of the camera. That's all it was.
یادم نگه امروزه ولی یکی یادم.
But because I believed in what they were doing, perhaps they believed that I could do something. I don't know.
پایین میری آب.
باطلا. آها.
این رفت پایین. ترک رای قد. میرد با من سری رفتم ماشه بند آوردم. درم تو خلکش با ماشه زدم استان این عقب. یه از شرق برین اومد. اگر من نبودم میمرد.
One night you went to the mud to the mud in the place you know the place was like a trap. You go and it is the mud and you go inside of the totally mud and it was very dangerous because might be killed. And he saved you. He put you out of the mud.
If he has a better memory than me. I don't remember that.
اوزار میگرفت اینم میگرفت مثلا یا بند ما میگیم شیرهش بسا که نرد از دست این میگرفت.
He said you even help us to do the sailing the
Well, nominally. We have different memories.
Yeah.
This is what's so interesting.
Yeah.
He remembers some things, I remember other things.
همیشه هم دوستش از همیشه الوانم پاش هست همیشه
talking about your trousers. They really remember your trousers.
Yes, well, but no scarf. See?
سری نداشته.
No scarf. No, right, I didn't have to wear one.
نه نبود.
Didn't have to wear one.
خب شما دقیقاً چی یادتونه از اون موقع؟ میتونی یکم تعریف کنی برای من خانم کاپلان؟ تعریف کن چیکار میکرد؟
اون موقع بهتر بود، حالا بهتر بود.
نه نمیخوام بگم بهتر خوب. چیکار میکرد خانم کاپلان؟ از روزی که اومد یادته؟ چیکار میکرد؟ بگو ببینم.
داخل لنج عکس برداری و تو بندرها هم همینطور، بندرها هم همه چی می آورد. هر بندری رسیدیم همه چی می آورد. اصلا از خورد و خوراک از ایران همه آورد.
چی میخورد صبحونه؟
صبحونه ما یاد نداریم، یک کیفی داشت خودش هرچی میکرد فقط از لنج چای میخورد. بس.
I told him what she's eating or drinking during morning. He said he had a box. He said she had a boxes, and in the boxes you open that and you eat from that box, and somehow just you got the tea from us. That's the only things.
That's not true. I ate all my meals came from the dough. I didn't eat my own food.
I will mention that. خانم میگه که من همه با شماها غذا میخوردم. من چیز خاصی من غذام با شماها یکی بود. آره خب میگه چرا به من میگی که من توی چیز داشتم؟
The only thing I made for myself, as Yusuf knows, is coffee. Everything else, food, dates, rice, stews, fish, meat came from the crew.
خانم میگن که من فقط قهوه‌مو خودم درست میکردم. یادت میاد؟
یادم میاد.
چجوری درست میکرد قهوه‌شو؟
قهوه‌شو لنج درست میکرد.
خب.
لنج سردان داشت، چیز داشت، میرفتم اونجا.
ولی میگه که من همه غذاها رو با شماها با همونی که میخوردی و همون رو میخوردم.
ولی خب کم میخورد، نمیخورد، بیشتر از مال خودش استفاده.
میگه من هیچی نداشتم بخاطر.
یعنی داشت میرفتم اونجا.
I mean, we all sat down together, and I mean, I didn't put my hands in amongst the food that they put their hands in, but we shared all the same things. But I mean, they had these are Sunni men, and I'm a foreign woman. They don't want too much contact, but they were very generous and gracious in the contact that they did give me.
Yes, I
remember him. He was the one in the picture.
And Nasir, Kafan Nasir.
Yes, I remember.
شما یادتون میاد خانم؟
100% یادم میاد.
Yes, he's the fourth one in the picture. The one picture where he definitely is in is there with Issa. Issa's two sons, Issa's good friend, and me.
اون عکس شماست؟
I called him a friend from home because at the time I wasn't sure who he was. He was the narrator of one of the 4 ships we went to Simburang all together. And a good friend of Issa's.
خانوادگی حرکت می‌کردید؟
بله. با هم
As a family, they rule the ships and they go together.
Yes, that was clear to me even then. Even then.
یک شب تو خود آفریقا با واسه این دعوت ما کار رفتیم کلیفی شام خوردیم یادش هست بود.
Kalifi? What did we do at Kalifi?
Mombasa, Bakwanda Kalifi.
Yes. Right. But
You invited them.
یک شب رفتیم با هم یه دعوت 4-5 من بودم برادر یوسف بود محمد بود پدر یوسف بود دیگه کدر بود دعوت ما کردیم اونجا نهار و شام خوردیم خود آفریقا شهر کلیفی اسمشه
You invited.
یادش هست یاد نیستم من یادم
You invited all of them to dinner in Kalifi.
ماشین مال خودش بود.
With your car. You had a car?
No.
Toyota.
And also Yusuf said you had a car.
I didn't have a car.
سر مرز یونانی رئیس جمهور اسمش بود مینای رئیس جمهور این تو قایق ماشوه زیر آب میرفت فیلم برداری میکرد یادش هست بود اما یادم هست فراموش نکردم من زیر آب رفته قایق فیلم برداری لنگ و قایق میکرد با دست آقام
I had friends everywhere.
Yeah, he remembered you. You jumping on the water. and took a photo from the water from the ships. He said you took. که تو آب رفته بودن یعنی؟
ماهی میگرفتیم مثلا قلاب تو میزد دوربین از زیر آب عکس میگرفت.
He said you went for taking photo from under because they're fishing and you were on the water.
This isn't me. This isn't me.
میگه من یادم نمیاد این
I can't do that. I don't know how to do that. It isn't me, it's somebody else. I certainly don't understand it. First, I did nothing underwater. I don't remember being in Khalifa.
Because if you had did thing, maybe you had a picture, but you didn't have the picture,
No.
you know,
No.
something like that.
And I don't remember being in Khalifa with them. I think by the time we were at Khalifa, her house had his accident, and we were heading for Mombasa. Never had a camera on me for so long at any time. And I only hope it's worth the effort.
ماریون نمیفهمید چرا کارهایی که نکرده به اون نسبت داده می شود. حرفهای باور نکردنی ملوانان تأثیر بدی روی او گذاشت. حتی کار کردن با ما و آمدن جلوی دوربین هم برایش سخت شد. مجبور شدیم برای اینکه دوباره به ما اعتماد کند فیلم برداری را متوقف کنیم. حتی برایش حکایتی گفتیم. دریانوردان قدیمی باور داشتند که اگر به عمق دریا خیره شوند تصویر محبوبشان را در آب می‌بینند. برایش توضیح دادیم که آنها دروغ نمیگویند. آنها تصویر زیبایی از او در ذهنشان ساختند. نه همان ماریون عکاس روی عرشه کشتی میهندوست. یک ماریون در آب.
بریم یه جایی بشینیم. Let's go inside and find some places to sit. یک چیز دیگه هم به ما بگو. چطور شد که اسم اون بوم شد میهندوست؟
میهندوست چون این قبلا ساخت سور بوده. سور و عمان. چون این لنگ عربی بوده و اون دست ایرانی و رفته آفریقا و دوباره برگشته به میهن. پس همون میهندوست که دوست میهن داره این میهندوسته. برای از این گفت خیلی اشکال هم آجی هم گفت اشکال نداره این اسم خوبیه و اسم ایرانی باشه. چون بیشتر لنجه هایی که تو خلیجن اسمهای عربی هن. محمدی، فتح الخیر، محمودی، لنجه های قدیم بیشتر روی اسما بود.
Ships, most of the Arabs now there are Arabic name. This one is very fully Persian name.
Yes.
And the Mihandus means
I want my homeland.
Exactly.
My first question when I heard the name of the ship, and it was they who told me. What a shame.
Nini?
I know, impossible. Impossible. Yeah, yes.
Yeah, yes. این ماریون کاپلانه، اینم برادر ماست، اینم منم، اینم پدرم، این محمد در حال اندازه‌گیری سواحل سومالیا است الان اینجا.
And the chart, by the way, looking at a chart.
اینم عکس.
Yes, there we are in Mombasa.
Mombasa.
Yes, we're all
Ali.
there. Yes.
ماریون کاپلان.
Yes.
آجیسا. محمد. حسن گب. حسن. یه حمود این. Yeah, اینی.
Yeah, there we go.
اینم منم، اینم محمد.
Yes. So did I do these photos? Who else could have done it?
آشپزمونه. دیگهش گذاشته.
اول صبح می آمد پهلو ما من اونجا چای درست میکردم، نون درست میکردم برای صبحونه. اینا می آمدن پهلو ما موقعی که
making the bread. Oh yes, I remember
موقع
that.
نهارم همینطور می آمد پهلو من دیگه من پخته که میشد درست میشد یه صحن چوبینی بود مال قدیم اندازه همین برنج میخورد یعنی برنج زیاد نمیخورد
فقط مایش میخورد
کم
برنج
خیلی
کم
کم
میخورد همش مایش میخورد منش
کمک آشپزی این بود.
من کمک
این دیگه کمک بود
من هم برای این میبردم وقتی هم میگه چه سوس میگیم برای سوس من میگم بزرمو میرفتم داخل خب لباسش میترسید میزنید سنباشی میزده من عزتش میکردم کوچی بودم عزتش میکردم خیلی میترسید درش
Put the cockroaches on your dress.
He didn't. I would have hit him if he did, and I didn't.
میگه اگه این کارو کرده بودی میزدم.
I want to say one thing. That book has been in England, which is my country, and so many people admired so much the content of the book and the men of the Dows. So you were all very much appreciated in my country. Can you explain that?
Yeah. من قبلش این قصه رو براتون بگم چون خانم کاپلان گفتش که خیلی میگه این کتابی که من درست کردم تو کشور من انگلستانه و تو این کشور خیلی این کتاب مورد احترام قرار گرفت خیلی هم خوششون اومد و خیلی هم دوست اومدن و من خیلی واقعا ازتون ممنونم که به من اجازه دادین این قصه رو براتون بگم.
خیلی ممنونم به کشور ما
یعنی فر پیر بیشی
هر سادم
اول به او راه بکشو اسماعیل اول به او راه تون که دار بندی را بارد داشت به او راه
ماریون کاپلان از فرانسه همچنین به عنوان یک پرستار در این جهاز بادبانی بودند که اصلا بازی در اون لنج بوده و به علت حادثه که شاف او رو میپیچونه و گردن اون زخمی میشه و بریده میشه مردم فکر کردن یه میمیره اما تا انتهای بمباستی میرسن خودم در بیمارستان در اونجا که بودن خانم ماریون از اون talking about the story of Hassan with you.
Yes, this is okay. That's going to stand in for your father.
به خاطر پدرت
Definitely. Thank God.
میگن از خدا تشکر.
سلامت باشی. واقعا خیلی از ایشون حرف خیر میدادن و بازم ایشون از بزرگان ما خیر دیدن و همچین محبتی اومدن.
میگه میبخشمه ولی میخوام بدونم که چرا نایید. قرار بود I'm say sorry from my father's side.
Accept.
But I'm glad to have met his son.
Yes, it's a very happy experience. And today was just incomparable. Beyond beyond anything I have seen for a long, long time.
به دنبال بقایای ساخت کشتی‌های بادبانی همراه ماریون به قشم آمده ایم. ماریون از لنج‌های بی سرنشین عکس می‌گیرد. این عکس‌ها برای تهیه گزارش از هیچ سفری نیست. بعید است کسی این عکس‌ها را ببیند. شاید این عکس‌ها سوگواری باشد دیرهنگام برای غروب سنت با شکوه و افسانه‌ای دریانوردی ایران، برای نسل ناپدید شده پسران سندباد. میان لنج‌ها میچرخد، با ناخداهای خشکینشین حرف میزند. ناخدای پیری را پیدا میکند که شاهد مرگ بوم میهندوست، محمد پسر عیسی ظاهر و بقیه ملوانانش بوده است. با اصرار میخواهد دوباره داستان غرق شدنشان را بشنود. داستان را میداند، اما مکرر شنیدن واقعه رسم سوگواری است.
عیسی ظاهر رو میشناسی؟
عیسی ظاهر میشناسم. عیسی ظاهر
کجا غرق شد؟
همونجا از شهر به خاطر چندل. ایشون به خاطر دار تخته رفتن که خم بکنن بیارم بکن. اینطوری دن خالی بودی، دستی که باز زیاد بودی این دروندی، چالو کرده و دروندی غرق بودی. خلاص
این عیسی که تو کشتی نبود اون موقع؟
عیسی ظاهر خود نبوده، چون گفت چوکه بودی.
کی تصمیم گرفت کشتی رو بیاره بیرون که غرق شد؟
کشتی دیگه خلاص نینه.
کی بود توش؟ تو کشتی کی بود؟
همو بچه عیسی ظاهر بود.
اسمش کو؟
اسمش من نمیدونم.
محمد؟
اسمش اون میفهم محمده، چون گفتم محمده.
پس اون تصمیم گرفت که کشتی رو بیاره بیرون.
اون پسر عیسی ظاهر بود، نه خود عیسی ظاهر. پسر بودی، پسر در آمد غرب بودی با چند نفر آدم. تو بودی.
چند نفر زنده موندن؟
زنده هیچ. اونشان که دیر رفتن، اونشان که غرق بودن اکال کودا چون که دوندن، اونشان دیگه نه غرق بودی. ایرانی نه.
Well, they're good boats, but it's a pity that they're Indian and Pakistani style.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's the only things we're looking at.
Now, where are we? Half a century later. Happily, there is still a sea, and still ships who sail on them, and still men who want to be sailors. There's an English poem, Men Who Go Down to the Sea in Ships. And I think of them all the time.